In this world, time was not for everyone. It was a special power, very rare. Only a few people, called chronomancers, could touch it. They could feel its flow, sometimes even bend it. For most, days passed like normal. But for those who knew, time was a treasure. It was a resource, more valuable than gold. It could be a shield or a weapon. The world held its breath, knowing this secret power existed. Many wished for it, but few could ever hope to wield it. This made those who could very important, and sometimes very dangerous. Then, a terrible thing happened. It was called the fracture, a great event that shook the very core of existence. Time itself broke into many pieces, like a shattered mirror. The single, smooth river of time became a wild, chaotic sea. Paradoxes appeared everywhere, things that should not be. Echoes, like ghosts from other possible pasts and futures, started to walk the land. These echoes were confused, sometimes sad, sometimes angry. They were lost pieces of what could have been. The world was no longer stable. It was a place of broken moments and dangerous possibilities, a constant reminder of what was lost. Living quietly in this changed world was a boy named Kai Morino. He seemed ordinary, often lost in his own thoughts. He did not speak much, but Kai was far from ordinary. He held a secret, a very big secret, deep inside him. He carried the last, pure fragment of the original timeline. This was the timeline before the fracture, the true, unbroken flow of time. It was a tiny spark of what once was. This spark made Kai unique. It made him a beacon in the shattered world. He did not yet understand its full power, but he could feel it, a quiet hum within his soul. Because of this fragment, many groups wanted Kai. Powerful organizations, hidden cults, desperate individuals. They all hunted him. Some wanted the original timeline fragment to control everything. They dreamed of becoming masters of time, shaping reality to their will. Others wanted to restore what was lost, to fix the fracture. But their methods were often cruel. And some simply wanted to destroy the fragment, believing it was too dangerous to exist. Kai was a prize, a key. His quiet life was about to end. He was at the center of a silent, desperate war for the future of time itself. One day, Kai's hidden power began to awaken. It was not a sudden explosion. It was like a slow sunrise within him. During a moment of great danger, when dark figures tried to capture him, he felt a strange pull. The world around him seemed to slow down, just for a second. He saw glimpses, flashes of moments that were not quite now. It was confusing, and a little scary, but it was also the first sign of the incredible power he held. This power was his inheritance, a connection to the true flow of time. He started to realize he was different, truly different. Fleeing from those who hunted him, Kai found help. He was found by the Chrono Guild. This was an old organization, dedicated to understanding and protecting time. They saw the potential in Kai and the danger he was in. They offered him a safe place, a chance to learn. Kai, alone and scared, decided to trust them. He joined the Chrono Guild, hoping to understand himself and the broken world. The guild's headquarters was a hidden place, filled with strange clocks and ancient texts. It was a new beginning for him, a path into the heart of the mystery of time. Inside the Chrono Guild, Kai learned many things. He discovered that chronomancers had different ranks. There were apprentices, just starting to feel time. There were wardens, who could protect small areas from time changes. And there were masters, who could perform great feats of temporal manipulation. Kai was a novice, but his connection to the original timeline made him learn fast. His instructors were amazed by his natural skill. He trained hard, pushing himself to control the power that was growing stronger within him each day. He wanted to be strong enough to protect himself, and maybe to help others. The guild also held a painful secret for Kai. He learned the truth about his parents. They were not ordinary people who had simply disappeared. They were brilliant chronomancers, members of the guild. They had tried to repair the fracture long ago. They poured all their power, all their hope, into mending the broken time. But the task was too great. They were lost in the attempt, consumed by the very temporal energies they tried to control. This knowledge filled Kai with sadness, but it also gave him a new purpose. His journey was now not just about survival, but about understanding their sacrifice. In the Chrono Guild, Kai met Elara Vex. She was a skilled and experienced chronomancer. Elara was strong, her eyes sharp with determination. She became a mentor to Kai, guiding him through his training. She had seen the horrors of the fracture firsthand. Her family was lost to a paradox. Her motivation was clear, to protect the future, to prevent more suffering. She believed in Kai, seeing his unique power as a possible hope. Elara taught him not just how to use his abilities, but also the heavy responsibility that came with them. She was a steady presence in his chaotic new life. But not everyone wanted to help Kai. He soon faced dangerous enemies. One was Sael, known as the Reverseborn. Sael experienced time backwards. For him, tomorrow was yesterday, and yesterday was tomorrow. This made him incredibly difficult to fight and to understand. His movements were unpredictable, his words confusing. Sael believed the fracture was a mistake that needed to be unmade, but his methods were destructive. He saw Kai's fragment as a tool to force time back, regardless of the consequences. He was a tragic figure, trapped in his own strange existence, driven by a desperate need to fix his own personal timeline. Another threat was Tempo, a rogue chronomancer. Tempo was selfish and power-hungry. He could create small, repeating time loops, trapping his enemies or replaying moments to his advantage. He had left the Chrono Guild long ago, seeking to exploit the fractured timelines for his own gain. Tempo saw Kai not as a person, but as a source of immense power. He wanted the original timeline fragment to make himself a god of time. He was cunning and cruel, enjoying the chaos of the broken world. He represented the dark side of temporal power, the temptation to control and dominate. Battles in this world were unlike any other. They were not just about physical strength. Time itself was the weapon, the currency of combat. A chronomancer might spend their energy to briefly freeze an opponent in a stasis field. They could accelerate their own movements, appearing as a blur. Some could create small pockets where time flowed differently, or even rewind small personal injuries. Kai learned to see the flow of attacks, to anticipate moves by sensing ripples in time. These fights were a dance of moments, a dangerous game where a single second could mean victory or defeat. It was a constant struggle to maintain one's own temporal stability. The broken nature of time had a strange side effect. Sometimes people would glitch. For a moment, a person might flicker between different versions of themselves from other possible timelines. 1 second they were themselves, the next a version that made a different choice, lived a different life. This was disorienting and terrifying. It showed how fragile reality had become. These glitches were symptoms of the deep sickness in time, a constant reminder that the world was falling apart. Kai himself experienced these glitches, seeing flashes of lives he might have lived, choices he might have made. It was a heavy burden. Kai began to understand the terrible truth. The fracture was too deep, the damage too widespread. Small fixes, local repairs, they were not enough. The echoes, the paradoxes, the glitches, they would continue. The only way to truly heal the world, to restore balance, was to use his fragment of the original timeline. He had to reset reality itself. But this was a choice with an enormous cost. To reset time so completely, the source of the reset, the fragment, and therefore Kai himself, might be erased from existence. He would have to sacrifice everything he was. With a heavy heart, Kai made his decision. He looked at his friends, at the world struggling to survive. He thought of his parents and their sacrifice. He knew what he had to do. It was the hardest choice anyone could make. He gathered all his power, all his will, and focused on the original timeline fragment within him. He poured his entire being into it, guiding its energy to mend the shattered epochs. It was an act of immense love and immense courage. He chose to save everyone, even if it meant he would be forgotten. He embraced the light, and then he was gone. The world was reborn. The fracture was healed. Time flowed smoothly once more. The paradoxes vanished. The echoes faded away, finding peace. Life became simpler, more stable. Kai Morino was gone from this new reality. No one remembered his name or his face. But sometimes people would feel a sudden warmth, a fleeting sense of hope they couldn't explain. A young artist might draw a picture of a kind, quiet boy they had never met. A musician might compose a melody that felt familiar, yet new. Kai was erased, but the memory of his bravery, his sacrifice, resonated like a gentle echo in the heart of the restored world. He was not forgotten, not truly,